This is the news on Atlantic Television Network. First, the headlines. IGP Alkali Baba orders probe into the FBI fraud claims against Abba Kyari. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar calls on PDP members to unite ahead of 2023. Governor Nyesom Wike defends government's heavy spending on health infrastructure. United Kingdom offers to seize Nigeria anti-graft terrorism. Egyptian court sentenced 24 Muslim Brotherhood members over killings of 3 policemen. Many thanks for joining us. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has ordered an investigation into the allegation against a Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, by a United States Court for spokesman, Frank Mba, made this known in a statement on Thursday. This followed allegation by the United States District Court in California that suspected international fraudster Ramo Abbas, also known as Hush Puppy, used Kyari to arrest and jail a co-conspirator, Chibuzo Vincent. The court said the arrest was made after Vincent threatened to expose a $1 million fraud committed against a Equatorial businessman. IGP Baba, while reaffirming the force's commitments to the pursuit of justice and the strengthening of its professional relationship with the FBI and other international partners, said further development of the case will be communicated to members of the public accordingly. In a related development, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it has been contacted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to arrest DCP Abba Kyari over his connection with the serial internet fraudster Ramo Abbas, otherwise known as Hush Puppy. A top EFCC source, however, said no arrest can be made by the agency since Kyari is a police officer and should be handled by the police. The suspected internet fraudster, who was arrested in Dubai in June 2020, allegedly told the FBI that he gave a bribe to Kyari to facilitate the arrest and the imprisonment of a member of his online fraud gang identified as Chibuzo Vincent. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party has demanded a forensic investigation into reports that In a statement by the party's spokesman, Kola Logbodi, the PDP said the claim that Kyari was involved in benefiting from the proceeds of international fraud is worrisome, disturbing, and a stain on Nigeria's integrity. The party demanded that the APC administration should not sweep this matter under the carpet, given the manifest rapport between Kyari and some top APC leaders. The PDP further stated that if Abba Kyari's matter is not well handled, it will be a permanent stain on the reputation of the Nigerian police force and the country's security system. In another development, gunmen have carted away an undisclosed amount of money from the Nasarawa State Ministry of Finance, Budget and Planning. The gunmen was said to have traced 2 staff from the bank to the ministry in Lafia and seized the money at gunpoint after shooting sporadically in the head. The State Commissioner of Finance, Aruna Ogbole, said the money was worth millions but did not disclose the exact amount. Ogbole added that the incident was being investigated. Meanwhile, the cashier is undergoing treatment after sustaining bullet wounds. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has accused the ruling All Progressive Congress-led federal government of being incapable of addressing the issues of insecurity across the country. Atiku stated this while speaking to journalists at the Rivers State Government House, Port Harcourt, on Thursday. The 2019 People's Democratic Party presidential candidate stressed that reconciliation and unity for the PDP are critical to the party's clinging electoral victory in 2023.
Well, I came here to salute the governor on party affairs, ensure unity and stability of our party, so that we can take over government in 2023. I believe Nigerians wait for 2023 to come so that PDP will return. I think he is topmost governor we have in the party. There is no doubt about that in terms of projects, in terms of youth unemployment, in terms of security. Yes, we have security challenges all over the country, but in Rivers it's not as bad in other states. So I think we commend him for his leadership.
Atiku, while boasting that Nigerians are waiting eagerly for the PDP to take over power at the federal level in 2023, urged Nigerians to wait for the appropriate time when PDP shall unveil its policies on how it wants to address the issue of insecurity across the country.
In terms of economy, in terms of unemployment, I have never seen it so bad. This is the worst. Why can't you give us time? We will come up, with our policies which we will present to Nigerians when the time comes. We will do that. You know that we can do. We have done that before as PDP. We recorded the highest growth in this country, the best foreign reserves. We reduce unemployment. You know that we can do it.
We'll take you now to Zamfara. We'll take you now to Zamfara State, where the Deputy Governor Mahadi Aliyu has asked the State House of Assembly to obey the court order which restrained the Parliament from impeaching him. This came after the House invited the Deputy Governor to appear before it in person on July 27th, a move the Deputy Governor did not honor. Similarly, on Tuesday, the Parliament issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the Deputy Governor to appear before it over allegations of official misconduct leveled against him. Addressing reporters in Gaoshu on Thursday, Aliyu raised an alarm that despite the court order, the lawmakers went ahead by shadow sitting to proceed with impeachment proceedings. He said he is constrained to draw the attention of the public to what he described as an ugly situation, hoping that well-mannered citizens will call the state lawmakers to order and help them appreciate the need to obey and sustain court order. The deputy governor is being accused of conducting a political rally on July 10 amid banditry attacks and Marathon communities within the same period under review. We'll bring you back to Rivers State, where the governor, Nyesom Wike, says no amount of money invested in health should be considered a waste. The governor made the assertion on Thursday when he visited the project site for the Dr. Peter Odili Cancer and Cardiovascular Disease Diagnostics and Treatment Center at Rumuokuta in Obiakpo local government area.
It's a specialist hospital. The first of its kind in this country, cancer and cardiovascular diagnostic and treatment center. Dr. Peter Odili Cancer and Cardiovascular Diagnostic and Treatment Center. We laid foundation of this hospital sometimes in May, and we're in July. Of course, this is a project that has to do with piling because of how gigantic the project is. So we're very happy. I'm very happy that the money was spent It's not a misplaced priority.
The governor, while expressing satisfaction with the pace of work done, explained that the state government decided to build doctors' quarters within the hospital premises to avert some challenges usually faced by doctors, especially in emergency situations.
The health care of our people. Each time people travel overseas for cancer treatment, diagnosis of cancer. So I think it will be something that every Nigerian will be happy, and here will be like a tourist center. It has a helipad, it has doctor's quarters, so that in case of emergency, people will be flown with a helicopter down to this place, and doctors will stay here so that nobody will say because of the distance and they are not able to attend to patients. So I think we're very, very happy, very happy with the level of work.
Some lawyers in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, are still reacting to the decision by the state government to sponsor a bill banning the open grazing of livestock in the state. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network, current affairs program Atlantic Bloward, a lawyer carried interim vote described the proposed bill as a step in the right direction.
Our rights, no matter how fundamental, constitutional, there are circumstances that allows the government and the system to restrict those rights for public good, public order, public morality. And this issue of open grazing is one of such situations where the right of one person is beginning to affect the right of another person. So you have your cattle moving about, destroying people's farm, and not just the destruction of people's farm, there is an attack on the lives of people. Yeah. So this is a welcome development, and we are excited about this.
Also, a social analyst and constitutional lawyer, Festus Okuche, commended the Rivers State government for the initiative, but advised that the government to sensitize the people of the state on the matter.
It is unacceptable in the modern time. The whole of the world, including Europe, animals used to be grazed openly and all that. But the world had advanced beyond that stage, and we are not going to allow some persons who think that they want to live 200 years or 300 years backward to come and impose themselves on society. The Rivers State government has taken a very proactive measure, proactive move towards stopping that kind of menace, so that kind of social menace, political and economic deprivation that makes people run side by side with cattle along the street. It's a very welcome development, and I think the rest of the states of the country will follow suit.
Nigerians on social media have reacted to photos of an elephant spotted in Ikuru town in Andoni local government area of Rivers State on Wednesday. The pictures were taken by one Godwin Omeyi and shared online. Reacting to the development, Director General of Rivers State Tourism Development Agency, Yibo Koko, says the action of the Andoni indigene is commendable. Koko also said the Rivers State government is making efforts to promote tourism in the state.
I thank Godwin for the courage of capturing that moment, because the people in Andoni, they know that there's an elephant there. They've not captured it. And for that reason, nobody knew, or for those of us that have always known, and we thank him immensely that it is something that is ongoing now, that people are beginning to talk about Rivers State and the beauty of what it has beyond all the politicking and all the fights that you like to, or people like to report instead. So that's great. Part of what the agency, when we came on board, was to get professionals at Ernst & Young to draw a roadmap to rejig the tourism industry of Rivers State, which is with the pure knowledge that we need to monetize, what we have as assets. And then we can now begin to talk about destination
Koko, however, called on Rivers people to cooperate with the government to achieve set goals.
You, as an agent of the media, we must be deliberate. We're not saying that there are no bad things, but prefer solutions to correcting that which is bad. With those corrections, then we can move forward. So mine in 30 seconds is be deliberate, because Rivers State is a great state. Don't pull her down. Do the bit you can, and leave the rest alone. And we're all going to grow together. But the creative economy is where that we can all be sustainable in Rivers State. So let's put all hands on deck. Let's move forward with that.
You're watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Still ahead, United Kingdom offered to assist Nigeria in anti-terrorism war. Details when we return. You're welcome back. This is Atlantic Television Network News. Once again, our major stories are IGP Alkali Baba's order probe into FBI fraud claims against Abba Kyari. And we also mentioned former Vice President Atiku Abubakar calls for PDP members to unite ahead of 2023. Governor Nyesom Wike defends government's heavy spending on health infrastructure. Egyptian court sentenced 24 Muslim Brotherhood members over killing of 3 policemen. A public health physician at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, Dr. Mosive Maduka, has joined in appealing to Nigerians to always maintain COVID-19 protocol in order to reduce the spread of the virus in Nigeria. Dr. Maduka, during an interview with Atlantic Television Network, emphasized the need for Nigerians to get vaccinated to reduce COVID-19 cases in the country.
We've seen in other countries and other places in sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, for example. We saw what happened in India, and we know that the world is more or less a global village. What is happening in one part of the world can quickly spread and affect another part of the world. So we knew that we would soon be seeing an uprising in cases in Nigeria, with the possibility of us firmly entering into the third wave that other countries have been experiencing.
Dr. Mosive Maduka, reacting to the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country, said 404 COVID-19 cases recorded on Tuesday was due to the volume of international travelers.
We do not have enough Nigerians who have been vaccinated for us to start to see what we call herd immunity. So herd immunity is because the majority of people, we start talking about herd immunity, when you talk about 80% of the population or more haven't been vaccinated. They have a way of conferring some sort of protection for the other few people who have not been vaccinated. Millions of doses that we received were only able to cover a very small percentage of the population, and we did a very good job making sure that those vaccines got to people, overcoming the hesitancy issues, overcoming the rejection, the disinformation and misinformation that came across from some social media, and people just telling stories and all of that. So we've done a fantastic job as a country, but it's not enough to cover the entire population.
In another development, the federal government has earmarked $2.3 trillion for infrastructure under its revised National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan. According to the 23-year plan, about $150 billion will be spent annually. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, announced this yesterday in Abuja at a town hall meeting with the team Nigeria's Infrastructure Revolution Road to a New Future. Mustafa said the Muhammad Buhari administration had entered into a public-private partnership with a premium finance entity to provide an initial seed capital of 1 trillion naira, which it's believed will grow over time to 6 trillion naira. Mustafa also said the private sector and other partners will provide 56%, while the federal government and state governments will provide 44% of the share of the investments. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the United Kingdom is available to assist Nigeria in its war against terrorism. Johnson stated this while holding bilateral talks at the sidelines of the Global Education Summit in London on Thursday. President Buhari had earlier reviewed the security situation in a different region of the country, while Prime Minister Johnson pledged Britain's preparedness to lead a helping hand. According to a communique by the president's special media aide, Femi Adesina, the two leaders also discussed how to increase the trade between the two countries, develop solar and wind power, and other matters of mutual interest. An Egyptian court has sentenced 24 Muslim Brotherhood members to death for killing of police officers in two separate cases. The Dimano Criminal Court, North Capital Cairo, convicted a group of several crimes, including alleged bombing of a bus transporting police officer and policemen, and wounded scores of others. The other case was over the killing of a policeman in 2014. 8 of the 24 accused were tried in absentia on the verdict. And in sports, athletes and officials of Team Nigeria at the ongoing Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games are reportedly at loggerheads over phones given to athletes from each participating country by Samsung. Samsung, who is one of the sponsors of the Olympics, gave a phone a 5G Olympic Games Athletic Edition, which cost over $1,000 to each athlete competing at the Olympics. The procedure for collecting the phone was that each athlete was meant to go to the Samsung office in Tokyo, scan with the Olympics accreditation tag, and collect the phone. But the Team Nigeria officials reportedly collected the phone in bulk for all the athletes representing the country. Trouble started in the Team Nigeria camp on Wednesday when the athletes integrity unit disqualified 10 Nigerian athletes from competing in the track and field event of the 2020 Olympics after failing to meet anti-doping requirements. A source in Tokyo who spoke on the condition of anonymity said the official failed to give the 10 disqualified athletes their Samsung phone. He said this has led to heated fracas between the officials and the affected athletes. As a Nigerian official said, the athletes would not get the phone since they were no longer in the competition. And still in sport, Nigeria's swimming representative Abiola Ogubawon made history at the Tokyo Olympics by winning the heat 1 of women's 100-meter freestyle. Ogubawon bested the rest of the field in 59.74 seconds, with Antonovic Andela of Montenegro coming in second in time of 1.001 minutes. The 70-year-old became the first Nigerian woman ever to finish this event in less than 1 minute. She also surpassed Ngozi Munu's record of 1.15 minutes achieved in the last 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney. Despite this historic feat, her winning time fell short of the best 16 times required to progress into the semi-final. Meanwhile, for the first time since 2012, 2 Nigerian athletes will be running in the semi-finals of the women's 100-meter after Blessing Okagbari and Zebuchi Grace Nwokocha qualified for their respective heats at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Okagbari will be running in her 3rd semi since she made her debut in the event at the London 2012 Olympics. The 32-year-old has been drawn in the first semi-final heat alongside 2 heavyweights of the event, defending champion Elena Thamsi-Herah of Jamaica and Great Britain's Diana Asher-Smith. Nwokocha, on her part, ran a new personal best of 11 seconds to secure a qualification to the semi-final in her debut at the Olympics. The 20-year-old has also moved into the 5th in the Nigerian all-time list behind Okagbari 10.79 seconds, Gloria Aliaze 10.90 seconds, Mary Oyale 10.79, and Damola Osayomi 10.99, and that's the news for now. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Otedu IGP Akali Baba has ordered a probe into FBI fraud claims against Abba Kyari. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has called on the PDP members to unite ahead of 2023 election. And Governor Nyesom Wike has defended government's heavy spending on health infrastructure. And the United Kingdom has offered to assist Nigeria in its campaign against terrorism. An Egyptian court has sentenced 24 Muslim Brothers members over the killing of 3 policemen. And that's the size of the news. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Flora Duke.
We anchor the facts. A home for in-depth reportage, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide spectrum of topics.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring